Hi, this is the Tableau Interface video. When you open the program, this will be your initial view. You'll see the ribbon at the very top of the screen, and on the center of the screen you'll see the three sections we'll be going over to connect, open, or discover. Under the Connect option, the blue option on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see all the ways that you can connect to your data sets. If you don't see the particular one that you want, you just select to a server, more, and you can view all of the other kinds of data sets that you can attach to. So we'll deselect that. In the center, under Open, you'll see all of your recent workbooks and some sample workbooks that Tableau has provided. And on the right-hand side of the screen under Discover, you'll see the Tableau training resources and the Viz of the Week. So we've selected a Microsoft Excel data set, and let's view what a sheet looks like. So after you've connected to your data set and get into Tableau, this is a sheet. A dashboard can be compiled of many different sheets, or just one if you'd like. But we're going to go over the actual interface here so that you know what each section of this page does. On the left-hand side, under where it says Data and Analytics, this is called the sidebar. At the top is your data source. Under that is your dimension pane and your measure pane. You can view your data here, or you can search for a particular field, or you can just create calculated fields, do all of your maintenance at this level, or you can right-click anywhere within this sidebar to do that as well. There's also an Analytics tab at the top. Once you've got items on the sheet, like we do here, you'll see what you can do actually is shown. So if we wanted to see totals, we can see totals. At the very bottom, you see where it just threw the grand total out. And you can do reference lines and reference bands, all of that, trending, forecasting, if the data allows for it. To the right of that, you'll see pages, filters, and marks. Pages allows us to kind of separate our data and even animate it to a certain degree. So if I wanted to throw order date, you see I've put date on the pages shelf, and I can just kind of scan through my years. And if I just leave it playing, you can see it just kind of loops through it. It's kind of cool. But that does not work on server. We'll go over that in more detail later. And then there are the filters, which kind of acts like the panes do. You can either let your user select the filter, or you can pre-select that and kind of have it locked down. And then there's the elusive marks card. These are called cards, by the way. So if you select on the marks card, this is where all the magic happens. You can select what kind of worksheet you want to see. If we wanted to change these bars to squares or lines or back to bars, or you can set it to automatic. And Tableau has this great way of picking what it thinks you should automatically show. You have colors. These are called the shelves on the card. So you have a color shelf, a size shelf, labels, details, and tooltip. So your colors kind of let you, so I've got category here. If I put subcategory on my color, I can see that broken down. And what it does too is it actually breaks down that whole line. But we'll go over that in more detail in a later video. If we wanted to do sizes, you can change that. You can put it on the label shelf. On the detail shelf, all it does is create those borders and kind of separates your view. Or you can put it in the tooltip. And what that does is, if you have just one subcategory here, it would show that in the tooltip. In the center of the screen, you can see columns and rows. and we have what we call pills on those columns and rows. Sales is in green and categories in blue. This means that this is a continuous object and this is a discrete object or a pill. But, I'm not going to say we're going to go over it later again, but we will. And the center is your actual visualization. You can see that we're looking at category, sum of sales by categories. So if we wanted to look and see what other visualizations we can do with this data, there's this neat feature to the right called Show Me. And we can do any of these visualizations. And it tells you at the bottom that this right here, what makes a good visualization for this, or why it would pre-select that for you. So you can have multiple sheets. I have another sheet here, and they can go onto a dashboard. So we can set device previews. We could set the size of this and the dashboard layout if we want to. And so this is where all the finite tuning and everything comes into play, and your actions will show. You can have dashboards, and dashboards can add up to a story. So you have sheets, dashboards, and stories. You don't have to use them all. You do have to use sheets to make a dashboard, but you don't have to make a dashboard. You can just have sheets, and you certainly don't have to have stories. Stories are just it's a very nice way to walk your user through something that you've predetermined, or to walk them through your vision. So here we see we've actually used those two dashboards in this story. And you can do the same thing. You've got a little layout and a story objects where you can drag text and everything you need to do. Above all this, you'll actually see our ribbon. We'll go through that now. To hit the little Tableau button at the top will take you back and forth to the data and to that front page. You've got your undo, your redo, save, new data source. You have a resume and pause auto updates. It's a neat feature if you have a large data set and you don't want it to continually update with every iteration that you put on the dashboard. You can create a new worksheet from here. You can duplicate one or delete one. Here it's specific to say too that if you select an object within a dashboard, or if you're on a sheet, now you see that these objects now are not grayed out. But if you're on a dashboard itself and you've selected an object, you can see that it allows you to do things from there. If I wanted to clear the sheet, I can do that from this, and it would actually clear the whole dashboard. I hit undo to go back. If I wanted to change the order, maybe I want to make this a vertical bar chart, I can hit this button and it kind of cycles through it. This allows the user to sort the category. But you can also do that here. So this does it alphabetically, and this does it numerically. You can highlight things. So if I want to, right now it's already enabled, but if I wanted to highlight things in one place and it would highlight in the other, if it's applicable, I can do that here. So if my sheet 2, if I had categories, maybe on the color shelf, go back and highlight one and it highlights in the other sheet. That's a neat little feature. And if I can also create sets from objects. That's what this little button here does. Or I can put the mark labels in the dashboard. It's a very quick way to just shortcut to just put your totals down. If I wanted to fix my axes, I could. which could mean that I would, if I wanted to set a specific size or zoom into something, I can. If I wanted to change the way the sheet is fit, I can fit the entire view so it would take up horizontally and vertically. I can change it to fit across, or just leave it at the standard. I can also show and hide cards. So if I don't want to see any of the titles, or just the title on the sheet I've selected, I can do that. You see, if I've deselected and I'm on the dashboard now, it won't allow me to do it. But now you can change that. If I want to go into presentation mode, I was going to say presenter, you would select this and you can actually get a good look at what it would look like once you publish this dashboard. To get out of that, you would hit escape. Above that is the same toolbar menu that you get in most of your other programs. If you go to File, you'll see all the normal stuff that you see. If you see Data, you'll see where you can add a new data source. You can refresh all extracts at once. Or you can go down, if you have multiple data sources, you can edit your relationships. You can replace one data source with another. Or you could publish your data source up and do, refresh your data source from here for that part. But here we're only connected to one data source, and I can actually see everything I can do right here. I can also see that if I went to the sheet view and right-clicked on my data source. It's the same menu. If I'm in the worksheet, I can see things that I can do here. I can add actions and do all this, and we'll go through these, in detail later. I can go to the dashboard or create a new dashboard from here, or if I'm in a dashboard, I can see the actual objects I can do. The same with stories. You have to be in the object to actually be able to see everything, but I can format things. You can apply now specific formatting to either all stories or the whole workbook, which is very nice if you have branding standards. So now if I go to any other sheet, it's all in Open Sans. You can also fix all of these items under this. Wait a minute, it wasn't there yet. I guess I was. But you can see that you can fix any of this formatting under this menu item. Analysis is an interesting one. This is kind of the miscellaneous tab. You can disaggregate measures. You can turn your stack marks off or on. You can view the data. This is the data. If I wanted to view the full data, I would just hit this and I could see all the data. But if I hit summary, I can just see what's available on that screen. I can also, if I wanted to set percentages up or something like that, I could do that here. I could see totals, trend lines if I wanted to, but I can't with this data set. I can see special values if they're applicable, and table layout. This is important. If you have like a table of data that you have more than, Tableau will only let you see 16 columns of data. So if you want its max by default is 6. So if you wanted to change that and you wanted to show a pivot table with tons of columns or something, you can do that. You can also, if you've hidden your field labels, you can come back here to show them. You can see your highlights and edit and create calculated fields straight from this. Under map, you can actually select a custom map. Like we have one here from our GIS team that we can select. You can also connect to a map service or have background images. I've seen a really interesting way to do this with a blueprint of a hospital, and that was the background image. That's going to be in a later video. And there's also, you can import custom geocoding. We've talked about formatting. Now we can talk about server. You can sign into a server here. You can open a workbook from the server or publish to it. You can publish your data source. You can create a user filter if you want to put row level security. And you can also open from Tableau Public or save it to public. Window is really the generic menu item that most of our other programs have, and it just lets you can take the sidebar off or put it back on, or go to a specific sheet if you want to. And under help, let's go through that. You can open help, get support, look for updates. You can watch training videos, all of this. This is also where you would start performance recording to check queries and to check your performance on the dashboard before you published. And you can see what your product versioning is. At the bottom of the screen, you'll see all of the objects that we have. So we have a data source. We've got sheet 1, sheet 2, our dashboard. You see the dashboards are denoted by this little 4 square box. And our storybook, story page here is what denotes our story. We can rename any of those by right-clicking and just hitting just hitting rename. If you wanted to view this instead of like this singular tab view like you would in Excel, you can also view it like a sheet sorter. So it gives you this cool little thumbnail of everything if you wanted. This is really awesome if you have a ton of stuff. Or you can see it where it's kind of a hybrid of the two. And you can still add new worksheets or dashboards or stories on the side. Now let's look at the data source view. We kind of went over that. We breezed through it before, but your connection page will look pretty much like this with any data source that you've selected. I've connected to a Excel data source, but you can connect to Excel and SQL or Salesforce or whatever, but it will pretty much look like this. This screen is your interface for the data source. What we've done here is these are the tabs within the Excel spreadsheet, and these are the little named ranges that the workbook had. If you find that your data is structured kind of funky, you don't have to take off that front row or anything. If you don't have a header or something, you can select Use Data Interpreter to see what it would look like or how it would clean your data. But what we did here is we drug over orders and returns, and all it was just dragging and dropping. And see here, it's visually representative of kind of what a SQL connection would look, but we're interjoining orders and returns on the order ID. I want all orders and the respective returns, so I'm going to change that to a left. And I'm still going to join an order ID. Here is where we can change that. You can even create a join calculation. But it had the right connections. You can change the name. And even see a subset of your data to show you that your connections are correct. This is only 1,000 rows, but it shows me what all my data looks like. And you can see that Tableau tries to parse it out by what it thinks the field should be. It's not always right, but in this case it is. You see the little map here, the little world globe means that it's a geospatial data field. Strings, dates, and integers. Now if they're blue, that would mean the same as the pills, that those are discrete, like a row ID is a discrete value, but sales is green, so it's continuous. And you can also sort the fields in a different way, or if you select this button, you can actually just see the field names. So it's kind of a neat way to do it if your data sources, if the public visible name is different than the remote name or your SQL Server name. This is where you could really see that. You can hide items. You can alias straight from here. You can split or pivot values, but those will go over in a greater detail later. So let's go back to our worksheet, and I guess we're finished up. So we'll go over all of the pages and the individual items later, but this was a not so quick interface walkabout. Thank you very much, and I hope you learned something. I do every day.